Hi guys, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I am your host, Anna Rising, and today's episode is going to be really short, but deeply important. This episode is for anyone that feels stuck, lost, or like they've been repeating the same patterns, the same cycles in their life over and over again to no avail. What if your soul has been trying to tell you something important through all of this pain, through all of this pressure? Your soul isn't lost. It came here with a plan. It came here with a purpose. The pain that you're going through has a pattern, and that pattern is trying to get your attention. Through the heartbreak, through the limiting beliefs, the stuck money stories, the fear of being seen, there's a message underneath it all. And your soul has been whispering it to you. You are not broken. You are being shown the program that you came to rewrite. For some of us, these programs have been in our lineage for generations. This is something that we need to clear generationally. For others, these programs are things that we picked up in a past life. We may have faced significant challenges or traumas in a past life that caused us to come to certain conclusions that may have rewired our thinking and welcomed in a limiting belief. And these limiting beliefs are in what we call your soul contract. This episode was inspired by a client I recently had who kept attracting partners into her life that had a very particular subconscious program. And this program is something that I have only seen in 3 charts before. Out of the more than 100 soul contract charts that I have looked up, including celebrity charts, I have only seen 3 people with those programs. And this client kept attracting partners into her life that had this program. They were being drawn to her like a moth to a flame. And this particular program was very, very shady, very negative. This is a program of people that are very excellent at having 2 different lives and keeping those lives separate from each other. They're very good at putting on a face, so much so that they could do it professionally. They could be an FBI agent, they could be a spy, they could be somebody that makes a living by keeping other people's secrets, keeping his secrets. And a good example of somebody who can separate his personal life and his work life and kind of his 2 different personalities like this is Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy has this program, as does Hillary Clinton and Brad Pitt. And I have never seen it in anybody else's chart except for 2 of this client's exes. So there was something going on for her that kept bringing these type of people into her life. There was a lesson, a deep, deep healing available there for her through these very painful relationships, through these very painful, toxic situations. And you may see that too. You may see that you attract certain people. Maybe there's a pattern that plays out with them, between you and them, that you cannot quite grasp. And when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the pain of it, experiencing all of that, and even afterwards, dissecting that relationship and reliving everything that happened is very difficult. And it's more difficult to try and be like, I understand why this person was brought into my life now. I understand the lesson I was supposed to learn here and how to graduate from that lesson. And this is something that I'm learning myself. Oftentimes you get so stuck in the drama and the past of it all and the pain of it all that you kind of refuse the healing opportunity. You want to find a person to hold responsible, a person to hold accountable. And I had a very interesting conversation with a very good friend of mine. You guys can find her on Instagram at Pleiadian Messages. She sent me an audiobook called Zero Limits, and I wanted to briefly touch on the concept that this book was about. It was essentially about taking responsibility for your reality, for everything that is manifesting in your reality. And the book does it through a process called Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian term that teaches you to say to whatever conflict, to whatever thing that you are struggling with at the moment, teach yourself to say, I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. That kind of reframe has been playing through my head this past week as I absorbed that information and took a look at all of the conflicts that I saw happening in my life, throughout my life, and how each one of these conflicts was highlighting things within me that I needed to let go of, that I needed to change. And when we mean let go, we mean clearing it completely so you're starting from zero, as if you were being reborn. Dropping the stories, dropping the past, dropping the reasons as to why you are the way you are, and welcoming the idea that you are whole. You are not broken. You are completely whole as you are. And sending love to every conflict you experience, to every negative situation you experience. I'd highly recommend everyone to read this book, to listen to it, because it's completely life-changing. And it's a nice dose of like a perspective shift whenever you feel like you're getting a little too in your head. Our souls are so inherently intelligent that we are able to manifest things that will help us clear the karma that we've picked up from past lives, the limiting beliefs that we have adopted, taken in throughout all of our incarnations. It sends us things that will draw attention to that, just like our body has pain receptors and will let us know when there is an issue in the body, when there's something going wrong, we're going to feel pain. Our soul does that as well. And the beautiful thing about soul contracts, about the map that our soul lays out before our incarnation of things that it wants to kind of go through, things that it wants to highlight, is that oftentimes the most painful lessons bring about the most healing. Oftentimes, I see in the soul contracts of the biggest household names, the biggest celebrities, I see subconscious programs where they had to rewrite the fear of being seen, where they had to rewrite a fear around speaking up, a fear around using your voice, and kind of waiting for the other person to stand up, waiting for somebody else to stand up and say something. When they go and clear that, they were able to attain heights that were unfathomable for them before. And that's one of my favorite parts about looking into soul contracts, seeing the potential, the raw potential in a soul before you hit this earth, before you incarnate and start listening to all of the monkey mind, listening to all of the chatter that tells you that you're not good enough because you didn't come from a successful family. You can't possibly be successful. Because you didn't come from a loving home, you can't possibly find love. Looking at our soul contracts is our way of coming back to zero. It's our way of coming back to our soul essence and remembering who we were and using it as a tool in order to start reprogramming our reality to match our soul's vision, our destiny. If this speaks to you, if you have been feeling the nudge to look into your patterns, look into the cycles of your life, all of the lessons that we encounter, all of the programs that we encounter are meant to propel us instead of hindering us. They are superpowers when they're operating from the positive. Because once you learn the lesson around shame, around feeling responsible for everybody or guilty, just as an example, and you're able to flip the script and understand why that's popping up for you. Understand where that fear is coming from, the fear of being shamed for your choices, for being authentically yourself. You're able to use that wisdom and empower yourself and reach heights that you wouldn't have been able to reach before. So if this speaks to you, if you've been feeling the nudge to understand your patterns, your path, and your power, I want to invite you to start exploring your soul contract. You can start with this podcast or book a soul contract chart through my website, thesoulecosystem.com, or Etsy shop at The Soul Ecosystem. You are not alone in this work. You were not meant to walk your soul path blind. Your body might not remember why you came here, but your soul remembers. And that's what I'm here to do, help you remember too. I created this podcast because I believe we're meant to live with clarity and consciousness, not confusion, not fear. And I've seen what happens when people start to understand their soul contracts, understand the reason they incarnated and what they were meant to experience. This relief, this healing, this clarity isn't random. You weren't meant to just survive life. You weren't meant to just make enough money to pay your bills. You were meant to participate in your soul's evolution. That is why your soul came here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and for trusting the deeper pull within you to start doing the inner work. I really want to dive into subconscious programs and limiting beliefs one by one and help you unpack them so that when you recognize them in your soul contracts, you guys know how to work through them, why they're there, what karma is behind it, and how to get it operating for you instead of against you. Because they are there to operate for you. They are there to strengthen you, to give you an advantage, not a disadvantage. When you clear that wisdom from clearing the limiting belief and empowering yourself propels you forward in your evolution. That is the message beneath your pain. That is the purpose behind your pain. It is calling you back to remember what you came here to do. Your soul isn't lost. It's not broken. It came here with a contract, a blueprint it made before you were born. And in that contract were patterns that you were made to heal. You were being called to heal them. When those painful loops show up in our lives, it's not as a punishment. It's not meant to punish you or keep you stuck and stagnant. It is an opportunity, an invitation to look deeper, to decode the pattern, and to remember what your soul already knows. Maybe that pattern is rooted in a past life. Maybe it was ancestral and it was passed on through generations, and it's your job to end it. And this is the heart of soul contract work. We look beyond the surface. We look beyond what is happening to you surface level in your reality, in your conscious mind. And we look into the subconscious, not to fix you, but to help you remember why you're here and what you're meant to do, what you're meant to learn. You can listen to more information on the podcast. It's available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. And if you wanted to look into your own soul contract, you can do that by visiting www.thesoulecosystem.com or checking out my services on my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem. Thank you so much for listening. See you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend.